Hey, it's Kellen, and today on Diversified Game, we're going all the way to South Africa to give you guys the game on Africa. For those of you who, like my shirt, want to invest in Africa now, which the links in the description box and all that for our guests and the shirts will be there. I have Patience Gamede, and she is going to tell us her role at the Global Joint Council of Business Communities. Yes, business communities, how foreigners like you and I can even, put our little impact in a country as far away, but as beautiful as South Africa. Patience, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Hi, my brother.
Tell us, please, because somebody will say, okay, she has a fancy title where she works, but what does she really do? Tell us about yourself and your position.
Okay, to start with, Patience Gamede is a KZNer. I was born in KZN, KwaZulu-Natal, and I grew up in KwaZulu-Natal in the township called Chesterville, and many people, they know it as Umkumbani because that is where most of things like riots and everything were happening during pre-1994. So I grew up in that township. It's got a history, people can check it. But anyway, Patience grew up and identified the lack of things that are making us not to grow in our local economic development as grassroots communities, not only in South Africa, but in other parts of Africa. I've been devastated by people who want to donate to us for today. I've been exposed in running the NGO that I founded, and we were doing food parcel and all those things. And I was not seeing any sustainability in all that. So in the year 2009, I decided to look through what is really happening. What is happening, because in our country, we have gained independence in 1994. It was 2 years after I completed my matric. But anyway, I found that we were lacking a lot of things. But I realized that we have a problem of human capital investment. Number two, we haven't explored as Black communities. I will be specific to us as Black community or Africans. We haven't explored our talents and gifts. We are forced to follow the ways of Europeans, while we have our own indigenous ways of doing things. So from 2009, I started to do my own research. It was not, I think also what probed that particular research, at one point, I had people who donated funds to buy the school shoes for the children and the uniform. And while I was busy working on that project, we were dealing with children and parents. So when these parents were coming, most of them were sick, very, very sick. I'm a nurse by profession. And we were accepting a lot of people who were sick from HIV or from AIDS. And this one client of mine made me to realize that I needed to do more. I requested the money to take for this client of mine to go to the hospital, and when I did my report, I was in a situation where the guys were telling me that I did the wrong thing. I did the wrong thing by doing the right thing of giving a parent the money to go to hospital so that she can live and look after her own children. I was devastated at that moment. And I thought, you know what, I must find a way of self-sustainability programs. So that is when, after a couple of years, since 2009, I had a lot of challenges trying to do this and that, but I was not discouraged. And then I realized that, no, let me start from human capital investment. Actually, I need to recognize my own gift and talent, and recognize how my gift and talent can help another person. In this situation, I'm looking into myself as an individual, and I'm not looking at myself having money, but I'm looking at myself with a gift that I am having. I realized that no, I have a gift of opening doors for other people. I can be able to communicate and lobby for other people. And people, they will get things. And I said to myself, okay, then I am finding myself as a door opener for others, the people who cannot talk for themselves. And then I said, I need to increase my own knowledge and also get people to harness my intelligence and wisdom. There are people, they always say I'm intelligent, and they say, but I needed people to grow that. And I was willing, after I did a research and I sampled a number of areas. One of the samples I did was KZN itself. And then I went to Northern Cape to do another sample. I did it in the Western Cape. Actually, I was doing that investing, a long-term investing of collecting the knowledge, so that when I get the intervention, I get the correct intervention of at least contributing to the local economic development, not only local economic development, but also growth, but also the local economic development that is sustainable. Because in many areas, you find that a lot of people, they invest, but they don't get the return. And I was identifying all those gaps throughout, since 2014, I started traveling and looking into all those things. And then I collected the data, information, and I went to the neighborhood country. And I also collected, because the other thing, I wanted to see a difference between myself and other African communities. Because I find that we have the same problem of not being able to be sustainable in whatever that we are given. And I realized that it's not because we are cursed. We're not cursed. Actually, we can stand any weather. In my journey, I then found that when I needed to found an organization, actually I'm a founder of Global Joint Council of Business Communities. And Global Joint Council of Business Communities is focusing on grassroots talent and skill. It's the areas that we are touching on is collection of resources. Remember, we cannot be able to work as a body that has separate limbs or body parts. We need unity. But we've been for many years struggling to get this unity among us. I've been finding that if I come up with something, my brother will copy what I'm doing because he's got lots of money than myself, rather than to identify what I have as my talent and the skill, and look at his own, besides money now. Look at the talent and skill that the next person has, and then we combine that talent and skill and we start developing. So my research started, and I identified things in a sense that I last year in 2019, I came up with a model that can be utilized in rural areas, because also rural areas are the ones that are suffering most. Well, I found a Global Joint Council of Business Communities, and it was only registered in 2018. In Global Joint, I am a worker rather. I am calling myself a value creator, because after identifying the talent and skills and combining those talents and skills, then I add value. I create value from what people have. In 2018,
hold on 1 second.
I started to pilot.
Just patient.
Yes.
Hold on. I want to talk about the pilot, but I wanted to make it very clear for the audience, because if I start off with, okay, investment, and then they keep on, they hear the story and how the timeline, but I want to make it real clear. You deal with the human capital investment, the food security, those are all things that even foreigners can help you with. And correct? Is that correct?
Yes.
As an investment, not as an investment or as a charity.
My brother, coming just a little bit on that, coming from a background of charity and volunteering, I found that there is no growth.
Preach.
And yes, and I want the people to also consider this. I like to read a lot of the Bible, and so on. And when I pick up, David, he said something when, as a child, he went to the war to give food. You remember the story? To give food to his brothers, sent by his father. When he found that there was an announcement over there of saying they needed someone to kill that Philistine, you know what he said? He said, "What am I going to get?" To us Black people especially, we are scared to ask what is return on the investment.
So
I don't like, when a person, my brother, gives something, there must be return. Sometimes if a person says, I donate, but there must be return. We must be able to point the return on that investment. I will make an example when we go forward of what has happened since my interview with you in African Diaspora TV.
okay.
Yes.
Okay. No. So with that, it is an investment, because sometimes people will see nonprofit on your website, put Africa together, and then say, oh, they just want money. So this is an investment. What type of, can you talk about the model and the type of investment someone right now today can give you, and what do those returns look like? How long? Because we really invest in Africa. I mean, we have, my wife is from Cameroon, many of the guests know, and we are, putting things down in Cameroon, but we also have things in Kenya. I'm always looking for different investments. And even on my mallofafrica.africa website, I have over 7 of them that I vetted, right? I want to know, so I can put your site there, what does it look like and how much money do I need to put up? And how long will I get that return? Because Black Americans especially are hungry for this. White people and Chinese, they have already invested in Africa. You see it every time you're in Africa. They're already.
Absolutely.
So it's the Black folks who really need to catch up in America and in Europe. So tell us about what that looks like and make it foolproof, because some of our people aren't, entrepreneurs. They're not business people, but they want to learn.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Let me make an example here. The organization, the NGO, the non-profit organization, is there to make sure that we establish bankable programs or businesses. And we make it sure that there is a participation that is a real participation from the local people. We make it sure that there is enough investment in terms of skills, talents, and whatever that they need in order for them to be active role players in the business. So we are more or less the educative part and practical part when it comes to that. And then what we do, this is the model that we have found at least working, because I will make an example in terms of the seed of the nursery or seed development a business. I will start by saying, Black communities, we get seeds from white communities. We don't own seed anymore. We once owned seed, but today we don't have seed. What we are holding in our hands, a hybrid where you plant today, tomorrow, you cannot get anything out of that because it is now modified. So we have developed, we identified the skill, the traditional skill in the local community where we're doing a pilot project. We identified these people who have a knowledge, not an educational knowledge from the university, but they have their indigenous knowledge, because it's one of the things that we have to realize. We have our own culture, we have our own customs, we have our own intelligence as the nation, you know, and we need to come back and respect that, because with that there is life. So what I have done, we have done then as an organization, was to identify people in that sector that in their life, that is what they can live on, because that is what they love. Because also it's very important to us for people not to do just something, but they need to love what they are doing. And then after organizing that community, we're working with Department of Agriculture. The Department of Agriculture is assisting these people to understand the seed. And we're getting now, on their part, they have already invested in terms of human capital in building, in preparing and building the facility, because that is also very important. When a person from outside gives you money, let me say to be direct in this project, you come with your money and you say you must build something. Many times when you look in terms of the history, people will not respect, because it was the money coming in and they never put anything themselves. We encourage that there must be something done by the people whom they are receiving the investment first, to prove themselves that they are very serious and they will protect what they have. So they have built this nursery. The nursery is about the capacity holds more than 100,000 seedlings per annum. That is it actually is a very large one. But that means they have the local element. And then the next thing is to get into the seed itself. A lady from LA has invested in seed, because they didn't have money to buy the pure seed. There is land, there is local resources, but there are things that they needed money. So she bought the seed, the first seed that it will start in the beginning learning, and then that seed is for the seed production. Is not for just a seed to plant and harvest and it's over. It's a seed, it's for seed production. So we're developing an arm right now where, because of her, we were not going to afford it, hey? Because of her, we're now getting into the plan of doing the soil preparation to plant the seed to produce seed. Okay, then the other step that we have done, the other person that helped us, we couldn't find, I forgot to get into that before I get into this one. Someone else came with the funds for us to buy the nets. Then we bought the nets because we couldn't get the money for the nets to put for the nursery now. So someone came with that investment. As much as the person came and say, I donate it, but we are not taking it as an organization, as a donation, we take it as investment, because the second, if the person doesn't want to participate in the local business, it's fine. But the second nursery that is gonna be built, when they start their business, we will take the net and invest to other people so that they can also have the nursery. If you get where I'm getting into.
No, I get it. But for the audience, because we have a business, minded. Many are entrepreneurs, but for those who are learning, they want to know, because the process is good. And I was going to get into that. So you're jumping ahead.
I'm going to get there.
Yeah, but
I'm going to get there.
okay,
But
okay.
I'm just trying to explain like this small thing, and then let me get into a business.
Mhm.
We are going to have the special purpose vehicle. Actually, we already have a special purpose vehicle. So that, and then when the investor come, already what has been invested and the value put will be diluted. When we have an accountant, a tax specialist that we work with in the organization, we have a legal arm, the lawyers firm that works in terms of the legal issues, you know. So what we're going to be doing in the specific business, having the special purpose vehicle, then when an investor wants to invest, we will produce the paperwork in terms of the investment that we need is so much after we have exhausted the local investment, if you understand what I mean. And then we will say the X amount of money will be, it depends upon the investor now. Are they want to contribute the debt funding? Or they want to be the part and hold the share continuously in the business that is happening. Actually, with the African diaspora, my brother, I will say, I wouldn't do to other people, but I will say, let them become the partner so that it builds up for them to get the citizenship.
Well, the citizenship is
So that they are able to come and get. Sorry, are we still here?
I hear you. The
No.
citizenship. I take a different approach with that because we could talk citizenship all day. We can't control governments, and all of them have their flaws. So where you did your first interview, that audience is all about that, and I am, I work with that organization. But for me, my approach is all that Black Americans can do right now for Africa. Bring your dollars and let's learn the process. I don't want to see everybody get citizenship in African countries because you will have a bigger problem culturally. And people need to go through a debrief and get their mind right first. So it's a little different type of flavor on the show because my thing is if you have $10,000, give it. Don't worry about citizenship. First, learn the culture. You can't even say Sabona, but you want citizenship. You can't even say Malo. You don't even know the first thing between blacks, colors. So that it's a different conversation. And
Okay.
But
no, I get you.
Yeah.
I get you, my brother. But let me just clarify why I put that. You know why I put that element? As we are sitting in the organization, we do a very, very deep assessment on people. We don't just allow anybody. Remember, we are the human capital investment. For us, it's very important the skill that is coming with that person. Because our country is in particular, they would love people who are holding an expertise in something, so that they can come and uplift us. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I agree that we do want to eventually, get there. But the first part is we have 70% of Americans, period, who don't have passports. And that lets you know that Black folks, who are only 13%, really don't have passports. So the citizenship will almost be a barrier if folks won't come and just do business and work with organizations like yours. Because Americans, I don't want to see any Americans come over to Africa and become colonizers. Work with your people. So I definitely get I get you on that, but America has an arrogance to it. And we all in America, even folks who are from Africa coming back, have to humble ourselves. I can tell you stories that would make you be like, no, my sister didn't do that. No, she didn't do that. Yes, she did, and she's African. So let's talk about, is it $500 or is it $5,000 or more that somebody could give an organization like yours and what type of return and how long that could take, and what would it be? Like, just give that in like a 2 minute.
Okay.
So for our people have ADD here. So they're like, tell me how much money I can make.
You see, my brother, to be realistic, it depends on the business. But I will say a good investment, the smallest that can really make a difference you speak dollars, we speak rands.
Yes, let's talk rands. Let's talk.
I will say we will start a very good operation when we're starting from 500, let me say 500,000 rands, if we say in rands. The investment from 500,000 will do. Remember, we when we're getting things here, it's not like yourselves, you know.
So to be clear, 500,000 rand on the going market is about $30,000, people. So that's the start.
Yes, from that upwards, it depends, you know. One thing that I can do, if people want to do, I think what will help is that they do the inquiry on things. We will tabulate what is happening, and then they can tell us. One of the things that is going right now that we are busy working on, we are busy working on the game law, on the game reserve. Where we having the game, we having the apartments, we need investment for that, and the investment for that is about 1.5 million US dollars. So there is an opportunity, because we wanna take as much also as a lucrative kind of the tourism, you know, under our businesses. That's when we really need a person that can invest in that.
Okay, and is there already a deck, or a pitch deck where people can see what that will look like? Because when you say 500,000 rand,
yes,
then you say 30,000 US dollars. You know, over 45 million people here have lost their job, but we still see the malls flooded. And we've had guests on this platform who have bought acres, towns worth of acreage, and they only had 17 people. So if we say 30,000 and divide it by 10, that's 3,000 a piece. It's very realistic when we put it in those terms. But for 30,000, let's just say it's 30,000. How long can I see a return? How long is it going to take? And what will that return look like? Possibly, it's all in theory.
3 years is practical.
Okay. And how much?
Oh my word.
I'll say Amali.
I don't know. Someone.
I'm trying to do Zulu. Amali, Amelia. Well, I can't do it. How much in Zulu?
You see, I don't want offhand to maybe talk in terms of the return, because I'm not a guru in numbers, but we have these things prepared by our accountant.
Okay. Well, when you come up with that.
Yes, we have, but what I can say is not less than 30%.
Okay, not less than 30%. Okay, in 3 years.
Not less than 30% return.
Okay.
After paying, if it is the debt, a debt, but at the end a person wants to retain a share in the business, I mean, it will be a very a kind of investment. What I can say while I'm talking about that, to be clear, you see, when you are planting a tree, my brother, this is the tree that we are planting. So when a person is planting a tree, I don't like people who are planting the tree and set a time of only 2 years or 3 years to eat on those 3 when we have generations. Because what we are establishing here, where I am, we are establishing something that will go over 2 generations. Let's make an example. Chinese that we talk about, the deals that they are giving us, they are very, very raw, bad deals that are leaving African people with nothing. You know, I would prefer, to deal in a situation where we think about the future of our generations, not a today or a 5-year or a 10-year, because this is also your home.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I want to note this, my brother and the audience. I'm not an angel. But we have the pressing matters of bringing back what was lost from us. And we must make the ways of doing that. What I can encourage our audience who would love to participate in this investment, I would love them to also look in terms of how can they invest in our human capital with their skills.
I definitely agree with that. And I think that will happen naturally. And let me just make it kind of clear, to the best of my calculations, of, putting $30,000 up, you guys, in 3 years. And if it's a 30%, if that works in this investment, which you guys have to understand, investing, there is risk. But your investment after 3 years is going to be worth at that rate about $65,000. So, if you do get 10 people, or if it's your own money, you have seen how it's jumped. If my calculations are right, and things can happen. I have investments right now that my investments are over 50%. But let me tell you, sometimes those investments can take longer, especially with this COVID thing. And, we don't know where it's going to go. Here in America, you've seen it's killed over 200,000 people. Africa has done such a better job of it because of leadership, because of the people, following authority. But let me ask you this. This is a new thing that you were doing. Have you had any payouts yet to people in, any investments? And if so, what have those payouts look like?
No, my brother. You see, the time that one has spent was the time at the moment of being realistic in terms of preparing the grounds in things and be able to say, this is gonna really work. It's been a situation where we were planning. We are almost 70%, if I may say, in our planning, joined by different departments, because I never invited even the departments before I prepared the community. That is my focus.
Okay. So
we are in 70% planning right now. Almost actually, although this COVID thing, has interrupted a lot of things, but to us it's worked very well for us on another part. Why? Because most of our officials in South Africa were not in the country. They were always outside, and we couldn't get hold of them when we needed to take decisions and to get the support. So when we were planning and the COVID pitched, we could get the people who can be able to support us, and we are sure in terms of the bankability.
Okay. So let me ask you, since this is a fresh idea, just like Uber and Lyft and all these other companies that now are, explosive, and folks could have invested as low as, 30,000, 5,000 if you were in the inner circle, and made millions, tens of millions if you would have invested. With, the success that you are planning to have, what would be a community give back that you would want to do, or that you're doing now, or that you would do in the future? Because I just want people to kind of see your whole thing is kind of a nonprofit community give back. But, what else if this thing gets, 2 billion rand tomorrow, God willing, then what do you then do for the community, with that?
You see, my brother, the whole development, I don't want to discredit what has happened before, but I will talk on what I am busy with and with people that we're busy with. Everything in terms of let me start from our province. Our province has got the areas that are struggling too much, that needs to be developed. For me to be here for more than 2 years teaching people, doing the mindset change so that they can be ready to get into businesses, it has taught me quite a number of things, that for a success to happen, I cannot be doing this on my own in every area. Obviously, one has taught some people, we need to send those people in order for them to start developing the other areas that are lacking. Okay, so now if we happen to get the funding in our organization, we will be able to go and do what we have done in this community and do the total development in those communities without having to think of what is next, what should we do? If we need an expertise or something to be paid for, we are going to be able to do the proper program plan, because we know that the funding is there and we're not going to be interrupted. And then we can be able also to put the time frames very nicely, because if you're planning without knowing where you're going to be getting this and you're going to be getting that, it's a hindrance in terms of giving the time frames, of what you are doing.
Okay. Understand that with this planning, you've done everything that you need to do for the African market to have it be ready for the foreign investment. What have you been able to, do, besides doing shows like this and the African diaspora? What other planning to get the foreigners? Because people always talk about the cultural differences. I know I do all the time. Americans capture things sometimes different than Europeans, different than Asians and Africans. Do you think America's the target? And are you putting short videos out there? The Democratic Party out here for people to vote for Joe Biden have gone as low as using strippers, adult entertainment to reach the Black people. And, that's what they think is going to reach the Black people. I'm not advising that, but it's an interesting, and horrible way of doing things. But what are you going to do to reach out besides interviews?
You see, we have, let me say what we have done as an organization, because for me, it's very important to be practical and also to test. Anything that I have done, I needed to be practical and test and interact, with a number of people. In preparation, in the initial preparation, I did a lot of traveling in introduction of the concept, of the organization, what we want to do, what we want to reach. Okay, and the heights that we wanna go to. So I already, before we started now implementation in terms of piloting what we wanna do, I already did the groundwork in terms of the SADC interaction, because I didn't want to not to be practical enough and start far, before I start where I am. So that one was done prior to even the registration of the organization, the South African chapter, the interlinking of the locals, because we lucky in South Africa that we have different communities, the African communities. So one has been putting, because after we have done all, after we have managed to get a breakthrough, we want to go straight to these other suffering grassroots communities, who are not here. We have done the website that we have done, although we have taken a child that never did anything, and then this is why sometimes it's very slow, but she is learning, and she is becoming a little bit more active, in terms of growing that. And she did put the social media, of which right now I think it can work very well, because we are now getting more young children who are coming in and ensuring that they will be supporting, the working, because there's so much that is being done, but it has not been publicized. And right now, we are also we have started something that is important, the Peace and Stability Program. The peace and stability, because without peace and stability, you cannot do the business. I think maybe one day we'll agree upon that. If the areas are not having peace and stability, you can't be able to put your money and think you will get the return. So that is the other part of our organization, the peace and stability, to ensure that there is the place that you are doing a business in is prepared. So we have done the pilot in this place, and we are doing the first anniversary this year for the international tolerance. That one is going to be publicized. We're hoping that all the media houses that we have in our country will be covering that one, because it's one of the first success. If I may say, the area had a dispute for more than close to 100 years, and we came as an organization and we planted the seed of peace and stability, and the community speak on their own when it comes to that, because you can see what is happening, the cooperation in terms of business preparation. So we are having our own ways in terms of trying now. We were not ready a year ago, my brother, we were not ready. We were not ready for the media, because there were a lot of things that we were busy working out, and busy discussing. I didn't feel that it was going to do any justice for us to speak about things that are not there, the dreams. But right now we speak about practical, so we can be out there, in terms of like people knowing what is happening in a full force, as I'm saying, our website is not really showing much, but in the future
No, you can't say that. Your website has more information than so many others that I have seen that say, oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and then they have no website. So I'm not going to let you put a black mark on that website that you
put. Thank you.
It is a website. It is not supposed to be the Bible of everything that your business does. So it tells enough, and they can email you for more information. I do want to ask you this, because Diversified Game, we are about showing how entrepreneurs start, sustain, and succeed in business. And you being a nurse by trade and then taking this on like a full-time position, I want to know, how did you, because for time's sake, I want to know, how did you fund this? Did you just take your savings? Did you get any venture capital or angels? And, tell us the process of that.
The first process, it was number one, my worth, my own knowledge that I have accumulated for many years, my own intelligence and so on was the first thing, because without that, even if I had 5 cents, I was not going to achieve anything. Number two, I did with my own savings. And then number three, the lady that is our accountant in the organization believed in what I was saying. And she's been covering me all the way through where I lack.
That's beautiful.
And number four, I do consult. I do consult, and whatever I get, I put it in the project, because to me, it's not a loss. I am risking, but I know that as a person that has developed this, I can see the return in it. So when I'm doing any kind of job, I do the investment back into what I'm doing.
So you really went out on faith. And do you still work as a nurse while doing this, or is this your only position?
Not at all. I'm no longer working as a nurse, but what I do right now, there are a lot of like maybe a person that will need advice on something, and if that person is having, I wouldn't charge someone that doesn't have, but a person that has, you know, I do a quote, you know. If someone wants me to do a research on something, I will do that research, and then obviously the person will pay me, you know, for that, because I won't have time of going to nurse the people now, because I need to ensure that everything that has been done and what I talk about, you know, to the investors or whoever that want to assist the community, I know in and out of that.
Okay.
So you're quite right. It's faith.
Yeah, you went.
I have too much faith for what I do. I don't need to be told that what I do is gonna work. I know that what I do is working.
Yes, and if it's working for you, that's all that matters. That's what we like to show on here, that no one has to get your vision but you and the God who gave it to you. And, you know, this is definitely something that it's not a let me get rich. This isn't 419 people. This is investing in people and in communities. And if you have never been to South Africa, you will say, you know, once you go, you'll say, oh, I should have been here many years before, because it's a beautiful place. And Durban, you know, is a place that I have heard. I haven't gone to Durban yet, but I have heard is somewhere where, you know, you need to go. I don't want to give the people a game overload. I want to keep them some mystery about it to where they contact you, and that we, you know, keep sending this out to our influencer friends as well, so they can say, oh, we want her on the show, especially those shows that are more talking about the citizen aspect. I love the citizen aspect. I have a plan for all countries in Africa and Caribbean to give Black people, especially, citizenship. But I don't like to lead with that, because I understand, talking with government officials, even at, you know, the lower levels in different countries, that this is something that they've never even thought of. And that if we have these people come in, these are still foreigners, which in theory they are. They're your brothers, but they're foreigners, and they're coming in with their own baggage. So the only bag I want people to bring to Africa, as I mentioned, is that bag of money first, and then detox from the toxic stuff. Because are you a single woman? This conversation.
I'll answer you. I'll answer you very. Yes.
Okay, you're a single woman. When people come to Africa, when you see so many Black Americans come to Africa, I mean, I know South Africa, you know, only some places, some tribes may do this, but they really need to have their bride price for business. They need to have their bride price for a bride. They need to be ready to put the money up, because there's a lot of toxic stuff that they have to shed. So they need to understand that the culture, and not try to change the culture. So I put it out there that she is single. You guys can always come to me as an uncle, as a baba. We'll talk about, we can talk about if you want to, you know, find out. And there's no woman who would treat you like an African woman. And all women have their thing, but an African woman will show you why, you know, you ain't going to go anywhere. So no, I appreciate you patience for coming on, and you and I can talk offline, but I don't want to give the people a game overload, because they'll get lost in the mix, and now they're thinking about, oh, she's single. I would have never thought. So you guys, her links will be in the description box for the website. Contact her with a plan, not just to say, hey, what's up? I heard you were single. No, don't do that. That's the worst thing to do to anyone.
Please, they mustn't do that.
Yes. Yes, we just want to have some fun while we're giving the game. Patience, I thank you for coming on. Like, share,
Thank you for inviting me.
You are more than welcome. Be blessed. And